Social deduction games deserve a second chance.
That was messed up.
It all started with OG board games like Mafia Werewolf, where you set your butt like 2 feet from your lying rat of a buddy who murdered Wesley in the corner, and who I can clearly tell is lying about not doing it. Then you have the classic games like Trouble in Terrorist Town, Gmod Murder, Town of Salem, like the bread and butter of early 2010s social deduction. And finally, it happened. I was locked inside my apartment with basically nothing to do, staring out a window, not like expecting to see a single other person, which I didn't. Then I got on Discord from an old friend, saying if I'm bored, hop on Among Us with some old pals, and so I did. And all of us were playing a new version of the classic Mafia game, laughing it up as we watch our buddy murder Wesley in the corner yet again. But here's my problem, Among Us freaking died. Go to Steam, check my work. You can see it lost like 90% of its peak player base. Now, don't get me wrong, it isn't without a player base. The game probably has a good 50,000 players on at any given time if you count all the platforms together. But it feels like its limelight has passed, and with nothing to replace it. Where did all the social deduction games go? Boom. Fortnite comes into the gaming scene, really blows up battle royales and the use of battle passes for some reason. And then every game after that became a mini Fortnite. Some would say Street Fighter 2 created the genre of fighting games. And look, what's that? 2XKO following it. A ton of other insanely awesome fighting games in its footsteps as well. You guys know Temtem? Yeah, from like Pokemon. All right, it's not really a good example, but my point were that these big, widely known games created a genre that continues to get games and players to this day. But it feels like Among Us, with its 60 million peak of daily logins, somehow couldn't convert into a long-lasting genre, which really sucks. But Zaya, I hear you say there's a ton of social deduction games that came out after, and you'd be right. Oh, you little guy, you'd be right. A few games have come out since Among Us, and some likely we've played. Lockdown Protocol, Spy Party, Project Winter, Goose Goose Duck, Dale and Dawson, like hell, even the new Death Note game like a couple of years ago. But let's be honest, like did any of these games really get that much popularity? Lockdown Protocol is likely the only one that got any amount of eyes on it. Here's a Google Trends of some of these games. Now here's them next to Among Us. Come on, it doesn't even stand a chance. And funny enough, I love Dale and Dawson specifically. It's probably one of my favorite social deduction games just from the theme and vibes alone. But before that, we should talk about what Among Us even did so right to warrant the amount of players it ended up getting. Its design was simple. Take the classic Mafia game, make it a video game. But this comes with an issue. In Mafia, there aren't a ton of roles. There's the detective who can, check who's affiliated with what group at night. There's the doctor who can protect one player from being killed. And then there's the Mafia who choose to blow a guy's head off each night. And the rest of the players are just villagers, just a bunch of nobodies. They literally can't do a single thing ever. So why does this work so well, you might ask? Well, it's because I just saw your eyes twitch, Jake. In Mafia, you can see each other. This gives every single player a tell, even without having a role, and that's body language. How are they shifting? What face did they make when they woke up? How are they reacting to a question? Are they answering too slow? Are you smiling? Why are you smiling? In video games, if this was taken one-to-one, everyone would just be staring at Among Us guys, with their mics muted. There's no body language to go off of. And this, in Mafia, is a game changer because now anybody can deduce who the killer is. Anybody, just by how weird they're being. It's like every single player is a mini detective on vibes alone. Now, Innersloth knew they couldn't just replicate this exactly since, you can't see each other. So instead they made it more gamey. Now you run around the map, which means instead of body language being a tell, positioning can be a tell instead. And so the nobodies don't get super bored, they get some tasks to finish before they're, brutally murdered. This is a great compromise and makes conversations get insane as people try to deduce the psycho killer based not on how fidgety Jake is, but where everyone is positioned on the map. And then many years later, they actually did something better and added roles. Among Us was great because it was painfully simple. The graphics, art design, gameplay, all of it was so simple your Sims 4 addicted wife could even have fun. Now, Dale and Dawson, this game rocks. It's similar to Among Us in the idea that positioning is important. However, you don't go around murdering your coworkers. Instead, you're trying to slack off and mess with things as much as possible without getting caught. Steal a mouse from a desk or break down the internet in the server room. And although nobody has a specific role per se, there is one guy who gets the biggest role of all, with the manager. One of your slimy friends gets to boss you around and call meetings and sit in their office and even fire anyone they want. Be suspicious enough, or honestly just be the target of like a perfect comedic timing. You're fired and forced to be a lowly janitor. I don't know why I said lowly. Nothing wrong with being a janitor, by the way. Those guys are office heroes. This adds what these type of games already excel in, and it's being just super funny and messing around with your friends. No one is trying to really go mega competitive, disguised toast levels of big brain here. It's just classic FriendSlop before the term was even really being thrown around, but still including gameplay of sneaking or lying and toying with your lobby in a way that is so thrilling and addictive as the single traitor of the group, but also mysterious and suspicious and paranoid as the rest of the crew. Now, this game might not be competitive, but there is a game that might have been and honestly died way too early: Deceive Inc. I did not play Deceive Inc., but it looks so cool. You and a bunch of other players in the lobby are all these secret spies looking to capture this super sick briefcase and extract on the rooftop. You can morph into the NPCs around you and use a ton of abilities to like move around or hack things. It's like a multiplayer Hitman extraction shooter, TF2 Among Us, which you wouldn't think sounds cool, but it is. Like it really is. And the best part of Deceive is it reminds me of one of my favorite social deduction games ever.
I say, you know what's going on. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, one and all. I am Mr. X. And if you'll be good enough to listen for a moment, I can explain all the commotion. I'm afraid it seems the Northern Star has gone missing.
The ship was awesome, dude. It's a super old Source Engine 1 game. Yes, 1. It still is a super unique social deduction game. You're an assassin on a cruise ship, and you have a target you must take out. You only have a name, and you have to hunt down what face matches it. Get that person alone with no cameras or guards around and take them out. But be careful, because someone is also hunting you. This game is so unique because on top of all this, there's this survival aspect to it too. You have to go to the bathroom or even sleep in a bed nearby, which sounds horrible for you, but it also means it's a perfect opportunity to catch you off guard and...
Orton, hello! No!
Hell, if you get caught doing something crazy by guards or cameras, you get a literal judge trial and then sentenced to actual prison, and you have to stay in prison and finish your time. Like, this game rocks, man. The remaster, although many people seem to not like it, I actually liked. When it works, it cleans off some of the old Source Engine rust and really defines the game a bit in cleaner UI or game design. Then, a little bit later, a game called Bloody Good Time released that was basically a spiritual successor of The Ship with new graphics and new art style and new gameplay. And man, I played the crap out of this thing. It was honestly nostalgic going back and revisiting this game because like the gameplay loop was the same. You get your target and someone is targeting you, but it felt a bit more brawler and fighter heavy, which I didn't mind. These games do such a good job at creating the classic board game feeling of just like sitting down with your friends and screaming at each other. They create such an awesome atmosphere of laughs and goofs that FriendSlop does so well in these days. So this begs the question, where the hell are all the social deduction games, man? I really wish game developers made more of these because I really think they deserve a place, especially in this FriendSlop era. But what if, no, it's crazy. What if I made a social deduction game? Nothing will get done unless you do it yourself, they say, right? I challenged myself to make a social deduction game for the Brainless Game Jam in 2 weeks and see if anyone else loves this genre as much as I do. The theme for the jam was little guys, so I had my buddy whip up some of these cute little dudes and got to work. I've talked about a lot of 3D games, but I haven't even mentioned the 2D ones, right? Obviously the biggest being Town of Salem, classic game. A game you can play right now in your browser, or the second one for some reason if you want to play that on Steam. And although I love the type of gameplay these 3D games give, I am not the best game developer. And being such short on time, I'd go with making a 2D game instead. All right, so I have this little guy. I'm thinking like the color scheme is gonna be this like childish blue with maybe some like stripes down the page. Let me just draw it kind of like as an example. And then it'll basically just have this middle section and you can like, change the color wheel or whatever, like change his eyes or change his mouth, and you can kind of choose your little guy, very, very scribbly-o-esque kind of esque. And then, that'll just be a big play button, right there in the middle. And then maybe there's like an invite link or a code maybe you can type in. You can like invite, I don't know, you can invite or type a code to play with other people. Boom, logo at the top. Bam. All right, so I put it in the background here, gave it this like cool double sphere colors on the left and right to break up the background color, which to be honest, I just found cool from online. And then I found really good documentation on how to do these like diagonal stripes. And I'm thinking maybe eventually at some point we make them move a little bit, so there's some like animation in the background. That's my current thoughts. I made a little button. You can kind of click it, although it's like super ugly. So I'm gonna have to make this look a little better. There we go. This is kind of cute. It's like a little bolded. Not gonna lie, I just found like a really good example of something like this online that I really liked. So I think I kind of replicated it a little bit with this like static, bold, not very blurry button look. I think it looks kind of like poppy. I changed the color of the button to red just because buttons that are red look better, I think, in my opinion. And I also made it to like, you can hover on it and you can like click it down and it does like this little like push by just removing the drop shadow that it has. So it kind of looks like it's pushing down. I think it looks pretty good. It's a good start, huh? It's a good start, right? Let me tell you what I did. Among Us was Spaceman, Dalen Dawson, Office Workers, Lockdown Protocol. Well, actually that was also Spaceman. I guess that was kind of weird that that happened twice. But my setting was going to be students in class. Here's how it works. There's a loose bully in class, and their goal is to secretly bully every other student in his class without getting expelled. Now, do you remember what I said about Among Us at the start of this? About how you can't see body language of the other players? Well, my game suffered from this issue immediately and heavily. And after playtesting with some friends, I realized that there's nothing to do. Without a specific role, normal students had nothing to go off of or even interact with. So you just kind of sat around waiting for something to happen. So I did the one thing I knew I had to, and I introduced even more roles so that every player could have their own. Boom, Jot, protect one player from being bullied and take their place accepting the risk. Best friend, boom, can see and talk to any student previously bullied or expelled and use whatever info that they give you. Boom, class clowns, kind of like the Jester rule. The goal is to get voted out and expelled. And if you do, you win. And then of course, the new role, nerd, which is actually just what students used to be, where every class there's a new task to finish, like drawing or math or dissecting a full-on frog. Finish all the tasks in time and you can save the entire class from this evil bully. Adding all these roles and giving each player their own thing to do really boosted the fun factor and made it possible to genuinely forget who someone could be and be surprised when someone is able to make a super big brain play.
These decisions are hard.
Dumbass, got his ass, goofy ass. I ain't
so first night the AI locks me up in jail. Second night I attack Josh, someone protects him. Third night I get locked up in jail again. Fourth night I go to attack Dick, but for whatever reason it kills Zach.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then fucking fifth night I'm in jail again. Sixth night we vote out class clown.
Yeah, she is.
Oh my god.
I was class president. I have 2 roles.
We 50-50 the bots and picked the wrong bot.
Yeah.
No matter which bot we would have voted, the game would have ended, but we got the bad ending.
I was so excited to see the new game mode. I've not seen it at all today.
And although this project was super hard to work on, I had a ton of fun doing it, especially when I hopped on Brainless's Discord and started talking to all the other new indie devs, all making their own games at the same time. Getting to meet them, learn about their projects, or things they can do really made this whole game dev thing a bit less lonely. It's been a second since I posted a YouTube video, and it's because I'd spent the last almost year working on projects kind of silently by myself. It was fun, don't get me wrong, but I really wished to have some semblance of community. To be honest, being able to join the jam was a way I could really try and meet some of the other people who liked the same thing I did, making games. And the people I did meet, even if not too deeply, were fun to talk to, as we all stressed out about meeting the deadline. I did upload the game in time for the jam and had a blast seeing it get played. There's this feeling of watching something you worked hard on get enjoyed. And even though my games this year all ended up getting tossed away due to them being a bit too big of scope, this one moment really made the year for me. If you want to, please check out and share bullies.io with your friend group. I'd love the feedback and honestly just would love other people to play a match with. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. And if you like this type of stuff, do me a favor and subscribe. Maybe even like the video too. Thanks, and I'll see you later.